welcome to Learn Extra Live. Hello, Haley, how are
Hi,
you?
Katlego.
Good,
to see you.
Good to see you too, and great to be with you guys too. It's been a while for us, so hey, great to be with you today. Haley will be doing maths literacy for us today. This is grade 10. I know that you grade 10s are excited for some finance. Hey, Haley?
I hope so. Finance.
Yes,
I
let
hope
us know
they're
what's up
excited.
today.
Are we going to be doing finance? In grade 10, we look at personal finance.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing some questions and examples, and
Awesome.
that's basically the lesson.
Awesome. Thank you.
Looking
Thank
forward
you,
to it.
Haley. You can go over
Okay,
to the board
thanks.
while I let them know how they can get hold of us today. So you guys already know our Facebook page, facebook.com/learn extra. I hope to see so many of you grade 10s there, because I know since school has started, you've got some questions. Also, our Twitter handle is @LearnExtra. Guys, please be interactive today. This has to be such an awesome lesson, especially because we're doing finance. And I know that finance has its tweaks that need to be etched out. So let us know everything that you need to know on the show, and we will be here for you. Over to you, Haley.
Thanks, Katlego. Guys, welcome to today's show. And before we actually start, you know what I always do at the beginning of my session? I always say, well, let's go
What are
look
the
at our
numbers?
numbers. So now last week, I actually should change this to last term. But let's look at our numbers. What was our number from the last lesson that I taught?
Okay.
Okay, what was that?
The number now, you mean today?
Sorry, the
That's
number
one, yeah.
today. Today's number, sorry, is?
Today's number is 13,623.
Right. So the last week, it's not last week, this is last term. We should probably cross that out to make this term. Last term, that was the last lesson that I taught you guys. We were 12,104, and now we've gone to 13,623, which is absolutely great. And I think we had a lot of responses
Yeah.
during the holidays because of
Winter
revision that we did
school,
and winter
yeah.
school. And it's just great to see that there's so many of you out there that are following us. But guys, you can still tell your friends. So let's carry on with today's lesson. So, finance, and I'm going to kind of throw you straight in, and we're going to do some questions. And that's probably the best way to deal with finance. So, we're going to look at question 1, and question 1 says, the table below shows a summary of the water account of a Mr. D.G. Levine for a period of 8 months. The first 5.6 kiloliters used for each month is free. Now, that number varies from municipality to municipality, but every single person on their water bill gets the first certain amount of kiloliters free. And it's usually about 6 kiloliters. I think in Gauteng it's 6 kiloliters. And that's because our constitution says that every man, woman, and child deserves clean water. So what does the government do? They give us 6 kiloliters free. Kat, I've always had an interesting concept of where the 6 kiloliters is and how
Yeah.
much it is. So in my mind, I like to picture 6 kiloliters because I
would be
can't
nice,
picture
yeah.
6,000 liters. Now, I can try to picture 6,000 bottles of milk, but I can't picture the number 6,000. So I'll tell you what the best way to do this is if we look at the volume of a minivan,
Okay.
a taxi. If we look at the volume of that and we had to fill it with water, that's about 6 kiloliters of
Oh,
water.
okay, wow.
So I think in that way you can actually relate
That's a
the
lot of
number.
water.
Okay, Mr. Levine gets a little bit less than that. He gets 5.6 kiloliters. Right, and remember 1,000 liters is 1 kiloliter. So this is his water account. Now remember, I say to you, always read through the table and understand the table before you even go on to the questions. So what have we got? We've got his water account for a period of 8 months. Then we've got the months here. So we've got August through to March. The total kiloliters used in that month. So we're going to look at August. August, he used 22 kiloliters. His kiloliters that are free are 5.6 every single month, because that's what the government gives him. So the kiloliters that he needs to pay for is his total that he uses minus the 5.6. So in August, he's paying for 16.4 kiloliters. Then we've got the cost per kiloliter of 4.57 Rand, and our total amount due in rands. Now, this is a very simplified tariff system, but usually we actually have a sliding scale for our water accounts. So we have our first 6 kiloliters free. In fact, let me find some space and show you. We'll come back to the questions. So I want to draw a little graph. So our first 6 kiloliters are free. for everybody, and let's take that 6 kiloliters. And thereafter, we pay a certain amount for the next lot. So we've got the first lot is free, and then we pay an amount. So let's assume it's 5 rand. I'm just going to go random amount for the next maybe 9 kiloliters. And then thereafter, we pay another amount above that. I hope that you can see. So we still pay free, and we pay 5 rand for the next lot of kiloliters, and that's probably to 15 actually. 9 kiloliters, that makes it a total of 15. And then the next would basically be 10 kiloliters at, let's say, 6 rand. So depending on how many kiloliters you use, you normally play a sliding scale, and you pay the same amount for every kiloliter within that range. So if I had to use 18 kiloliters, I would have 6 that are free. I would have 9 kiloliters at 5 rand. What did I say? I said 18 kiloliters. And what's the difference? I've now got 15 kiloliters. I've got 3 kiloliters over, and that will be charged at 6 rand. So I hope that makes sense. But what we've got now is a very simplified table. So let's go back to our simplified table and try to answer the questions. Right. How many liters of water were consumed in September? So let's change our color. We find September, and we see that September was 28,0, but remember that was kiloliters. So when I write in my answer, I can say 28 kiloliters, but the question asked me for how many liters of water. And how many? We were told that there are 1,000 liters in a kiloliter, so I'm going to times by 1,000 and say 28,000 liters of water. What is the highest amount that Mr. Levine has paid for water he used? And we go through our table and we find the value which is the highest number. So I can see that I've got 2 values over 100. There's that, and clearly it must be in September. So that's the one he pays the highest. What is the amount? And ask you, what is the highest amount paid? So we give the amount 102 rand 37. So it was 102 rand 37. In which month did Mr. Levine pay the least for water used? So now we found our value that has the least, and I'm looking for 75. Have I got anything lower than 75? There's one for 68. So what month is that? It is November. So November. Now they want us to complete the outstanding values for the table above. Write down the question number. We've got 1.1 to 1.4, and show all the calculations next to it. So let's go to our table and see if we can do it next to our table. Right, we're looking at January. I'm going to change colors here. We're looking at January, and there's our first question that we need to answer. So that's how many kiloliters must Mr. Levine pay for in the month of January? So he used 25.1 kiloliters, and he's got 5.6 kiloliters free, so we're going to minus the 2. 25.1. So question 1.1 is 25.1 minus 5.6. And now let's get our calculator out. With our calculator will make it easier for us to actually do the calculation. So 25.1 minus 5.6, and we get an answer of 19.5. So that was 19.5. Now that was 19.5 what? Remember, we always have a reference. We always have a unit that we need to give. So it's 19.5 kiloliters. I think, let me delete some of that. Right, 1.2. Let's go back to the table. Right, 1.2 is our answer, how much money he spends. So in this case, it's for the month of February. How many kiloliters must he pay for? He must pay for 19 kiloliters and a cost of 4.57 per kiloliter. So we're going to have to multiply those two. So it's 19, I'll find the place, 19 kiloliters times by 4 Rand 57. Was 4 Rand 57. Hey, let's get our calculator out. We've got 19 times by 4 Rand 57. Get an answer of 86 Rand and 83 cents. And remember, it has a reference, so it is rands. What is 1.3? Back to the table. In this case, we're looking for the number of kiloliters that he paid for. So what are we going to do? We're going to take our total amount that he paid and divide it by 4 Rand 57 to get that answer. So 98 Rand 70. 98 Rand 70, and we're dividing it by 4 Rand 57. And get a calculator again. So it was 98 Rand 70 divided by 4 Rand 57, and we see that he used 21,597. So we're going to round it to 1 decimal place because the rest of the table is in 1 decimal place. So we're going to make that 21,6. So back to here. That is 21,6. And what was that? Kiloliters. And finally, next part of the question was, how much did he use in total? Now, we've calculated this. We just said that was 21,6. So, but 5,6 kiloliters were free. So in actual fact, he used 5,6 kiloliters more than that. So we're going to add 5,6 to that answer. And on our calculators, we actually already have that number. We can just add 5,6, and we get an answer of 27,2. So let's write that in, and then we'll show the calculation. 27, I need a pen for this, was not rands, 27,2 kiloliters. And what did we do? Well, we said our 21,6 plus 5,6 that were free. And then we get our answer. So it looks complicated. The table had a lot of numbers, and I know that usually tables like that scare you, but in actual fact, there was nothing hard about it. And the fact that we went through the table first and we actually made sense of the table helped us to answer these questions. So let's move on to the next part of the question. Have I done all of those? No. I showed all the calculations. Right. Next part of the question says the water usage for August was 22 kiloliters and for September was 28 kiloliters. Now calculate the percentage increase for the total number of kiloliters of water used for August and September. Percentage increase. So hope that you guys remember how to do percentage and to do a percentage increase. First of all, as soon as we're calculating percentage, we know we need to times by 100. I'm going to start off by entering that already. Then I need to work out my change. So I take my September value, which was 28, because that's the newer value, and I minus it from August. Right, to get the amount of change. And I divide it by the original and times by 100. And that's going to give me my percentage change. Now, I like to think of it, and I'm just going to add it here as an extra formula. I like to think of percentage change with a formula of my new number minus my old number divided by my old number, because we want to know how much it changed from the original, times 100. So it's a lovely little formula, quite easy to remember and really very useful. And now let's take our calculator and do this on the calculator. Now, remember that you guys can use normal 4-function calculators. So I'm going to pretend I don't have this fraction button. I love my fraction button, but I'm going to pretend I don't have it. So I'm going to say 28 minus 22, and I need to equals it. Because otherwise I've got BODMAS that is going to divide before it minuses. That I need to divide by my original number, press equals, and finally times it by 100 and press equals. And I get 27,27, and in this case I'm going to go to 2 decimal places. So let's write that answer in. It's 27,27%. That's the percentage change. Why did I go back to 2 decimal places? I don't have a reference, whereas in the table I had a reference of 1 decimal place, and I know that your tests and everything that you write always says on the front cover on your instructions, round to 2 decimal places. So I'm in the habit of rounding to 2 decimal places. Okay, then we want to know the total amount paid by Mr. Levine for the water from August to March. So all we need to do in this case is we need to add up these numbers. We need to get this question number. We calculated it before. It was 19. I'm just going to calculate it again quickly. It was 19 times 4,57 was 8683. So let's write that in. Let's write that in here. 86,83. And now we need to just add up all these values. And whenever you're adding lots of numbers, I suggest that you double check that you actually have got the same answer as you had before. So let's get our calculator out. And I'm probably going to have a problem with the calculator. So I do have a problem with the calculator. I wonder if I can move the calculator. I can't. I'm moving the calculator for a moment. Right, so I can actually see these numbers and the calculator's not moving so well. Right, okay, let's do this. So we've got 75,95 plus 102,37, and check as you're actually going along that you're getting you typing in the correct numbers. 81,80 plus 68,50 plus 101,91 plus 89,12 plus what we calculated, 86,83, and finally 98,7. Remember, you don't really need that second decimal place. I know that you guys like to add it. I can leave it as comma 7, or you can add the decimal place. So how much did he pay? 705 Rand and 18 cents. I wish my water bill was like this. Okay, let's move that back to where it was and get our pen. So we added them all up and we had a total of 705, comma, what was the value? Comma 18. Missing my pen. Comma 18. Now, when you do this in an exam, I want you to show us that you've actually added the values. Normally, this is out of 2 marks. Normally, 1 mark is allocated for method. Now, if you've got the wrong answer, but your teacher can see that you've actually added them all up and you've made a silly mistake, probably entering a number incorrectly, then she will be able to give you 1 out of 2. She, I would say she, but it could be a he. Yeah. Okay, so your examiner will be able to give you 1 mark. So you don't have to write out all the numbers, but if you just start by writing out what was the first number that we had, it was 75,95. So if you just start with 75,95 and then plus and kind of give us dots just to show us that you actually did it. We can see the method you used, even though you might have the incorrect answer, you will be able to get a method mark. So it's always a good idea to show that. You know what I think? I think we should maybe take a little bit of a break and come back and do Mr. Levine's tax and things.
I think we need a break to carry on. So. Guys, let's take a really quick break. I hope you guys are so in tune with this because this is very important. These step-by-step questions are important to get all your marks. See you after the break.